All right, cool. So it says we're live. Welcome, everybody, to Infinity Sports. We got a lot of news to get to today and possibly an interview. We'll see how that goes.
Fingers crossed, guys. Fingers crossed.
First things first, though, we are going to kick things off with our intro. So here we go.
Jordan. Oh, a spectacular move by Michael Jordan. Drives one out to deep left field. This one's got a chance to get out of here. Gone! Three-run Jimmy Jack first big league home run for Mike Trout.
Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler.
And an 81-point game. 55 in the second half. Ladies and gentlemen, you have witnessed the second greatest scoring performance in NBA history.
Thank you for joining us. It is Infinity Sports. I am Wayne G. I am joined today by Sully.
Hey, what's going on?
It is a two-man show, it looks like, going forward. We had a discussion today with Jesse. He wants to go in a different direction. It's just a lot of commitment for him, I think, and he's just trying to focus on some other stuff. So we definitely wish him the best and, told him, obviously, anytime he wants to join us, he can. But it looks like going forward, it's going to be me and Sully. So I don't know. There you go, everybody.
Yeah. Apparently, Jesse's just not feeling anymore. And, obviously, we wish him, the best. And we're still there for him. And, like you said, the day he wants to come back on, he's welcome back. So, but going forward, it's just us. So, we kept the good-looking ones.
Yeah, that's what I think, too. Well, at least one of us.
And we know which one.
Okay, so obviously you're watching us on Facebook Live. We are Mondays and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Facebook Live. The show is rebroadcast the following day on the RTF Sports Network. You can also find us on iTunes, Spotify, and Stitcher, and YouTube. We're live on YouTube right now, and the video will actually be available to watch. I want to say it takes about 24 hours after it goes live. You can then go and rewatch the video again if you want. And, of course, you can reach out to us on social media. We are active on Facebook at Infinity Sports Podcast, where you're watching us now, most likely. At Infinity Sports Podcast on Instagram and at Sports Infinity 5 on Twitter. If you don't want to remember any of those, just remember www.infinitysportspodcast.com. That's our website, and it has links to every one of the social media sites, as well as YouTube, and you can watch all of those things as well. It also has all of our blogs that we've written in the past, and my favorite, it has a link to a store. You can get some great merchandise. You see that hoodie there, the 12 is greater than 9 hoodie. I'm rocking it right now.
Hey-o.
Ordered one for myself, and it came in. It fits great. It's nice and comfortable. My sister ordered a long-sleeve tee that just has the Infinity Sports logo on it. So pretty cool stuff. If you visit the store, support the show, just order some stuff. And obviously, it's all really great prices, and it all comes in great. This is really, really nice, too. It's not like the plastic. You know how it comes when you get the heat-pressed plastic? Yeah. This is nice. It's like dyed into the fabric. It's really nice.
Not that Wuhan stuff. It's that good stuff, right?
Yeah, it's the good stuff. Made in, where'd it come from? Like Indiana or something like that.
Oh, nice. American made. Let's go. That's even better, folks.
Yeah. So definitely check out the website, check out social media. We got a lot of stuff to go on today. We're supposed to have a really big interview with Akili Smith. We're waiting for him to sign on right now. Hopefully no issues. We got a bunch of questions for him that I think are really good and really interesting to get into the mind of an NFL player and a top 5 draft pick, in the draft. But in the meantime, let's get started with some news. All right, so the big news, I don't know what's the biggest news, but let's just start with, John Thompson, the Georgetown Hoyas head coach, passed away today. I didn't see what age he was. Did you get his age?
Oh, I thought it was 79, but that's kind of guessing.
I was thinking 80 something. I know that, obviously he coached the Georgetown Hoyas, 71% winning percentage. He's coached guys like Ewing, Iverson, Mutombo, Alonzo Mourning, just a whole slew of guys who are really great players. And then obviously he's a Hall of Fame coach himself. What I didn't know about him is that he was actually drafted in the 3rd round by the Boston Celtics and played from 64 to 66, won 2 championships with Bill Russell and the Celtics.
Wow. Must have been. Did he get any playing time at all, or was he just kind of a bench guy?
I'm thinking he was kind of a bench guy because they had Casey Jones, I think it was, and they had Satch Sanders. So they had a bunch of big men. He was a center. I think he was 6'8", 6'9". I mean, you can see he's a big guy when he's on the sideline.
I mean, when anytime you can stand next to Patrick Ewing and not get completely dwarfed, you've got to have some height.
Yeah. So, but
78,
obviously,
by the way.
What's that?
He was 78, by the way.
Okay. Yeah. So it's too young. I mean, I really think that.
For sure.
I really hope that I make it past 85. I feel like that's kind of a nice,
See, that's old, I feel like. I mean, I do too. Like, my grandmother right now just had her 89th birthday, and man, she's kicking, dude. She's moving. And so I guess, but then I see some old people that, they just look like they live terrible lives at that age. But man, God, take me at 60.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to end up in a home or have people wiping my around for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, if you're 88 and you're still out there playing golf, skiing and stuff, hey, live it up, man. As long
I don't
as
think anybody's 88 and skiing and golfing, but I mean they may be golfing, but walking, I'll be fine with. Just taking brisk walks.
Well, I'll tell you, I lived down the road from a guy in Connecticut. His name was Harry, and Harry was the golf pro at the local golf course, and he held the course record from when he was younger. It was a 9-hole course, 36, par 36. He shot a 29, and that was the course record even to that day when I was playing there. And he lived down the road from me, and he was 88, and he would walk over. He saw you swinging a golf club outside. He would walk over and give you a free lesson.
That's awesome.
And I remember he came over to me one day, and he was talking golf, and he goes, "Yeah, I play with all these young guys, and they hit the ball 150 yards past me off the tee. And at the end of the day, we look at the scorecard. I beat every single one of them."
That's awesome. The short game. That's why I suck at golf. I six putt every hole.
So I used to be a one or the other kind of guy. So I would my best round in terms of ball striking was I played a golf course called Cedar Knob in Somers, Connecticut. The front 9, I hit 7 out of 9 greens and reg.
Oh, wow.
And I shot a 41, which is pretty good. But, for 7 out of 9 greens and reg, you're shooting a lot better than that. So I just putted like crap. But then I've also had rounds where I'm spraying the ball all over the course, but I'm one putting every hole.
No, I've never in my life have I one putted anything.
I just never put it together.
Yeah.
Next, I think this is a big bit of news. I had it as third on my list, but this is kind of a big deal. Is Leonard Fournette gets released by the Jacksonville Jaguars. They say that they couldn't get a trade for him. They were looking to get like a 6th round pick or something for him. The guy was a 1st round pick. He's only 25, and he's going to be 25 all season. He doesn't turn 26 until January. He had 1,100 yards rushing last year. It was his career high, I believe. 76 receptions, career high. 522 receiving yards, career high. And so he's coming off basically his best season of his career. They just cut him, nothing.
That lends me to believe it's something more like internally, like he's got a bad attitude, something like that. It just and the fact that other teams didn't want to risk anything on him makes me also has to believe that it's something like internally that we just don't know about, obviously, as like a casual NFL fan. But these inside guys are telling each other, hey, look, he's a head case, or hey, look, he's a cancer, or something like that. I mean, Jacksonville's cleaning house. They're clearly tanking for Lawrence right now. It's not even if they win 3 games all season, I will be shocked if they win 3 games.
Well, I know that there was talk that he was having issues with his contract, right? Like he wanted a bigger contract, which whatever, everybody does when you get to that point. Dalvin Cook is holding out or was holding out to get a bigger contract. I mean, So what's the big deal? Guy coming off of his career year and he's asking for whatever, $45 million guaranteed or something.
Again, if he's in the locker room saying, man, fuck this organization, fuck this coach, like, excuse my language, obviously, but, things like that, like, and bringing other players down. And, I mean, they shipped Jalen Ramsey out. Now, Jalen Ramsey was obviously a different kind of talent, and quarterback's valued far greater than running back is. So we see the difference there. But, I mean, if it's the same kind of player and the same kind of thing, you just got to get him out of there.
Yeah, well, and I think that offensive line in Jacksonville is not the greatest. But I started thinking, what kind of team would Leonard Fournette be the perfect fit for? And I know the Buccaneers are a team that's been thrown out there. No? You think the Patriots are the team? Because they've got 5 running backs already.
Yeah, but which one is worth a damn? To be dead honest, which one?
James White's a phenomenal.
I agree. But you're telling me James White, Leonard Fournette don't make a really good complementary backfield right there? I really do personally think and I don't normally agree with because a lot of people say, oh, go to New England. It's kind of like the the cliche thing to say. But I think he really does fit in that backfield. Now, it all depends on what they internally believe Damian Harris.
You're frozen here. All right, well, Sully's frozen on my screen. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, it takes 2 little rotations, and then I'll be back. It takes like 6 seconds. I don't know what happens. But so it all depends on what they feel like Damian Harris can be for them. All reports are he's a camp darling right now, and they kind of like him. So if they actually believe in him, then I don't think they invest in Leonard Fournette, but I think he fits really well there.
Well, I like him a lot, but what about Sony Michel? You just used a first-round pick on him 2 years ago.
Yeah, but he's injured, is he not?
I don't know. He's always got an E issue, so I don't know.
And also, when these guys are still under their rookie contracts, man, it's real easy to just not even worry about. Let them go. Bye. They cut them real easy. Their salaries are super low and things. It's not a real big issue. So, I mean, Sony Michel, yeah, they just used a first-round pick on him, but, I mean, he hasn't really been that great. So they just used a second or third rounder on Damian Harris.
Yeah. Oh, third. Yeah, it was a third or fourth, actually, I think, with him.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, Leonard Fournette and James White, I would be totally cool with that kind of 1-2 combo. But, I mean, if he's looking to get paid, New England's not the place to get paid.
Yeah, but at this point, now he's going to have to prove it because the market's not there for him. Nobody's going to give him $20 million a year off the just fresh off of getting cut. You know what I mean? So now it's a prove it. He's got to go out there and take what he can get this year, take kind of maybe an incentive laden contract, and then just try to ball out again. I mean, if he has another year like he did last year, where he goes 11, 70 catches, 600 yards, 500 yards, you have another year like that, somebody's going to give you $16 million a year. They're gonna. I mean, it's going to happen.
Now, I saw that somebody said that he'd be a good fit in Houston, but they just got David Johnson. But yeah. I was like, if he goes to Houston, somebody said, please tell Bill O'Brien he does not have to trade for him.
Bill O'Brien would still – I'm surprised Bill O'Brien didn't try to trade for him. Yeah, I mean, I think Houston actually might be a decent fit. Honestly, I think there's a lot of teams that he could sneakily fit into. It's just, again, it's a matter of what kind of role he's going to want and be able to take. And it sounds like he wants – is Zeke Elliott money and a Zeke Elliott role, and I just don't know if he's that player.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, he hasn't shown it, but
yeah, exactly.
He's very good. I don't know. I was surprised he got cut. Going into basketball talk, obviously we talked about
we should say that Yannick got traded to the Vikings for a second. So, I mean, I thought they got decent value there.
I'm not a big Yannick Ngakoue fan, and when I was looking up his statistics, like last year, I mean, 41 tackles and 8 sacks. Now, normally when you see those pass rusher type guys, they only have 35 or 40 tackles anyways, because that's what their job is the edge rush. But like Chandler Jones will have 41 tackles and 19 sacks. Miles Garrett will have 38 tackles and 16 sacks. He only had 8 sacks last year. And so I thought, well, maybe they dropped him in coverage a lot. Well, he only had 4 passes defended. So I mean, what does he really do well?
Well, I mean, did you look at his other 3 previous years? He's gotten, I think it was like 11, then 9.5 and 10.5 too. He's a very consistent pass rusher. He gets to the pass rush. He gets to the passer at a really consistent clip, I think. And especially in Minnesota now with him and Danielle Hunter on opposite sides, I think that's really, really, really scary.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see how it works out.
I also don't think they gave up a ton for him. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, a second-round pick isn't really – I mean, depending on who you talk to. Bill Belichick, a second-round pick is their firstborn kid.
I mean, it's a lot, but one would assume, too – I mean, Minnesota has to assume it's going to be a late second-rounder, too. So a late second-rounder for a guy that's going to give you 8 to 10 sacks a year, I think a lot of teams would do that.
Do you like Minnesota? I think we talked about this when we did our NFC North breakdown. I had Minnesota at 7-9.
I think we had the same exact thing, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I don't know because I was on Triple Shot Sports yesterday. I was co-hosting. Chad couldn't make it, and Brandon had Mike Reeves on. Mike Reeves is a big Vikings guy, and he's from Twist. Everybody, and he basically was like, "Oh man, this kind of makes them maybe one of the favorites in the NFC." And I'm like, I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I still think their offense is a little shaky. I'm not a Kirk Cousins guy. I think he's one season away from being like a bottom tier quarterback. Like he's just hanging on. You know what I mean? He does just enough to stay in that decent quarterback conversation, I think. So I don't really love them. And I think losing Stephon Diggs is going to be huge. I think that's going to be a massive loss for them. So I think he was a lot of their production.
Who's this here? We had William James. Enjoy, everyone.
That's my buddy Will.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks, Will. I appreciate you, man.
Let's go at these people. All right. So that's football so far. Kind of jumping towards basketball. I know the Lakers wrapped up their series. The Clippers wrapped up their series. That's what they were supposed to do. The Lakers, as bad as they looked game one against Portland, they are starting to look like the best team in the NFL. I mean, the NFL, the NBA.
Yeah, they are. I mean, when they're at their peak, they are. I mean, I think everyone can agree they're the best team in the NBA. Anthony Davis and LeBron, when they both play like that, you can't. That team's unstoppable. It's unstoppable. I'm really excited to see where this finals is going to go.
Yeah, well, me too, especially because, and afterwards we have William James again. I'm sharing to all his groups, so that's why we're getting a bunch of views here. We're up to like 14 at one point.
Thank you, Will. I appreciate you, man. That's my dude. Me and Will, that's my brother, man. I've known that kid since literally the day he was born. That's my dude. I love him to death.
Looking like it could be a Lakers-Celtics finals. And
I'm not gonna lie, man. I thought you were way wrong with that Celtics pick. Now it's just game one looks, but man, you look right. Without Pascal Siakam, which I think, yeah, and Will's by the way is a huge Celtics fan. If they can lock Siakam down, and it looks like they have the ability to with their little rotation and the players they have with Jaylen Brown and Tatum like switching and things like that, and then Horford being kind of an athletic big to kind of stay with whoever he needs to. Toronto can't score with Boston, I don't think.
See, now what I love being right. People who, if this is your first time watching the show,
Wayne's favorite thing in the world is being right.
So I'm going to take a victory lap here. I actually called a 4-0, 4-1 against Philadelphia, even after Hayward got hurt. I said that's still not going to matter. It's going to be 4-1, 4-0. It was 4-0. And then I said it's going to be 4-2 against Toronto. And everybody's like, dude, no, this is a different team. It's 7-game, dogfight.
Yes.
This Celtics team is legit. And they still have the best coach in the NBA playoffs. I think Pop's the best coach in the NBA, but they have the best coach in the NBA playoffs right now. Mm-hmm. They have all been playing for him for 4 or 5 years, except for maybe Kemba, but they've all bought into that system. And what scares me as a Lakers fan, and I had this discussion on Triple Shot Sports, I think that the Lakers are the best team in the NBA, but the Celtics are playing the best basketball in the NBA right now. Yeah. And so what scares me is I think of 2004, and I think of that team just steamrolling the West with Malone and Peyton and Kobe and Shaq and just dominating, getting to the finals and losing 4-1 to the Pistons, who didn't have a single 20-point per game scorer. That could happen again. I could see them losing to the Celtics and just getting, because this team just plays like a team.
Now the only issue I see with the Celtics is I agree with everything you said there. Honestly, I really do. That is what is making Boston so great. As a team, they've bought into the system and they're playing it perfectly. They have nobody to stop Anthony Davis. No one that could contain Anthony Davis. And that's where I think they may have an issue if it does come down to them in the finals. I just don't think they have anybody that can put a stop to him whatsoever.
Well, I'm going to say somebody who I think could D him up and do a really good job. They have 2 guys who I think can D him up pretty well, and you're not going to like either one of these or agree with them, I think. But the first one is Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart can guard all 5 positions, even though he's only 6'6", 6'5", right? I mean, he's the kind of that Rodman mentality guy where he's like 6'5", but he plays 6'10". And I think he's a guy who can guard. I'm not saying like shut him down or anything like that, but he's a guy who's a pest. He can give fits to somebody like Anthony Davis. And then when you're relieving him with Ojale is a really physical defender. And if you watch Anthony Davis play, when Anthony Davis wants to play, he's unstoppable. Nobody can stop him. But you can make him not want to play by beating him up a little bit. If the refs aren't going to call it, and that's really how it gets ref too. If the refs let the Celtics beat the shit out of Anthony Davis, then either one of those guys can shut him down. But if they're going to call ticky-tack fouls, then it's a totally different ballgame.
The Marcus Smart one, I don't know, just because I don't think – I mean, Anthony Davis, I've seen him post up and body up, and he does well down there. And I think he'd bully Marcus Smart. Obviously, I think he would give him fits on the outside, but there's no way Marcus Smart even goes into that matchup. Marcus Smart's going to be pretty stuck on LeBron, probably. I don't know. They got Tatum on that, I would guess, or Jaylen Brown, honestly. But in either case, I mean, they may be able to pester him one game. I don't think they're stopping him at all. I don't see anybody that can handle Anthony Davis on that lineup.
Yeah, I will see. I mean, I'm sure it'll be a good series.
It's William James, incredible series.
And William James says Brad has a plan for him. Well, Brad's got a plan for everybody, but
he sure does. He sure does.
The best laid plans of mice and men usually go awry.
Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
What's that from? That's from a movie, right?
No, it's Mike Tyson.
Is he really? Everybody's got a plan.
No, I think so. Someone, I don't know. Now I'm just second guessing myself. But it's everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face.
Right. And I'm guessing getting punched by Tyson is no fun. So that's that side of the thing. The Clippers, I don't believe in them. I mean, they're supposed to challenge the Lakers, and I just don't think they can.
Either do I, honestly. I mean, Paul George looks soft. I don't want to say – I say that word with because I don't really know what else to say. He just doesn't look like he has the same Kawhi factor. Let's put it that way. Like Kawhi has the ability to kind of put shit on his back and not let his team win or not let his team lose. Paul doesn't have that. He gets shallow in big moments, and he's not. They're not going to be able to do that. They're going to need both of them to shine, and I just don't see any way they do. And I agree. I don't really like anybody out of the West other than the Lakers. I mean, I don't see anybody.
And what do you think about the two young guys? Was it Spider Mitchell and Jamal Murray? Those guys going for 50 and 60 and 58.
So Jamal Murray put up the most ever in a 3-point span, in a 3-game span, other than Michael Jordan, and which was that 88 span, and he by 1 point he missed it.
Right, I think it was like 143 or something like that.
Yeah. That's fucking crazy, man. That's
well, every one of those games he's got 8, 9, 10 assists too.
Yeah. Oh, and every one of those games is a close game where it's coming down to they need every point, every assist too. And what's crazy is we mentioned Wes Brown from our last interview, and he talks about knowing your role and making the best play for the team to win. And Jamal Murray is the kind of the epitome of that right now. The guy is making just perfect decisions every time down the court, and whether it's he needs to go off for 50, which I mean he does anyway, or get the ball out and make the assist and things like that. He's playing great basketball.
And William James confirms for you. He says it is Mike Tyson is the one that said that. Yeah. So I think we should have William James be like one of our super fans. Give him the badge, right? So that we can
give him the badge, my man. And I'm telling you, bro, that's a great dude. He's such a great dude.
Let's see, he is doing that. So that's what I guess he's saying that's what Murray's doing is kind of knowing his role, putting the team in the right spot. So that's kind of where they're on the east side of things. The Bucks came back, and the Bucks looked really bad against Orlando for one game, and then they come back and they 4 straight in a row. I mean, can they challenge Boston? I mean, you said Boston doesn't have an answer for Anthony Davis. Do they have an answer for Giannis?
I think Tatum can give Giannis some problems just because I don't think Giannis is as polished as an inbox or a down low scorer as Anthony Davis is. And that's where I think he can give him some trouble, where Anthony Davis could give Tatum trouble, whereas Giannis, I think, will not give Tatum as much trouble that way. I think Boston matches up really well with Milwaukee. I think they can shut down their complementary players a lot easier than they can shut down the Lakers' complementary players.
I'll tell you who I think is overrated is Middleton.
I don't think he's overrated. I just think I think he's a Paul George kind of guy. I don't think he shows up in big moments really. Like that's not like I don't know. Like a guy plays in Milwaukee and he's not used to it. He doesn't want the moment.
Well, for me, he strikes me as a poor man's Michael Redd. He's a shooter. And he's not as good as Michael Redd, but he
used to be a solid 3-and-D guy. Now I don't see him playing as much D, or maybe I'm just missing it. I don't know, but I mean, he's clearly, I guess, got to be playing D. They're the number 1 defensive efficiency team, or at least they were before the COVID show.
Well, Bledsoe's a pest. I mean, you talk about
that's true. God, you talk about pests. Yeah, that's true. He is a pain in the ass.
He's a tank too. He looks like remember Nate Robinson? He's like a 6'3" Nate Robinson.
Actually, you know who? I'm trying to think.
Baron Davis.
No, God damn it, I can't remember his name, and it's driving me nuts.
Trying to like a short, muscular point guard.
He was a shooting guard, and he was just he was built like a linebacker. He's like 6'2", 220, just built like a linebacker. But he could jump out the gym. It was dope.
Oh, Harold Miner.
But yeah, I agree. I mean, and Bledsoe can shoot out the gym. He can shoot really well. So he's a good. I like his fit in Milwaukee, actually.
So I don't think that the Jazz or the Nuggets stand a chance in the next round. They're going to get trashed, whoever they play. So that's it. Let's see, William here says, oh, listen, William, Triple Shot Sports joined us. Hello, guys. Sully, who is your winner of the MLB trade deadline? Not a whole lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, not a ton. Honestly, I wasn't on it today. Yesterday and today have been fantasy draft for me. I had 2 leagues yesterday that I did back to back, and then today I had a draft. I'm literally finishing it up right now. So when you see me look down, that's what I'm doing. I apologize. It's just that time of the year. I will say Tampa Bay Rays got our boy Brett Phillips. He went to high school at Seminole High School. Shout out my area. He's a great guy. If you don't know about Brett Phillips, I'm telling you right now, just take the 2 minutes and Google Brett Phillips laugh, and you will enjoy the next 3 minutes of your time, because it'll be the funniest time of your life. His laugh is so incredibly funny. It'll make your whole day.
See, we talked about it last night in the show, and Mitch Moreland to the Padres. Moreland's hitting like 328. His OPS is 1177, and he's going to a team that hits grand slams every single game.
Yeah, the kid they gave up though, his name's slipping me, but
Hudson.
No, the Spanish kid. God, I can't remember his name. The batter,
Rosario.
Rosario. There you go. That kid's got talent. Man, he can run. Kid's fast. He can hit. He's a smart hitter. He's a contact hitter. He's not going to push the ball over the fence a ton, but I mean, he's going to get on base a lot. I think he's a smart player. I think he's a solid get. He's going to have over 350 on base percentage for sure.
All right. Now, we were supposed to have, reference again, we were supposed to have Akili Smith on. It looks like he's not joining us. I'll get in touch with him after the show, see, if he had some technical difficulties or whatnot. One of the things I wanted to bring up, and we'll bring it up in the interview, is that, he played in the Pittsburgh Pirates organization before he went to college. He played with Jose Guillen in the minor leagues. And I was going to ask him about that, because to me, Jose Guillen might have one of the top 5 outfield arms I've ever seen in my life. I mean, just an absolute laser cannon.
That's a huge statement, though. You know how many people have absolute cannons?
Well, number one, Bo Jackson.
Of course. But then it's like Jonas Cespedes, right? He was the one who just gunned that one dude.
Raul Mondesi is one of those guys.
The Romano Loreno, the kid for the Athletics right now. Mookie Betts. I mean,
Ichiro had a gun.
Aaron Judge has a cannon, an absolute piss missile for an arm, bro. That guy can howitzer the ball.
Yeah, I mean, Guerrero had a great arm, but I'm telling you, Jose Guillen. Guillen's in my top 5.
I'm gonna have to. Damn, I don't know, but I mean, that's honestly talking about baseball. Seeing an outfielder assist and an outfielder put out is hands down, I think, top 3 moments in baseball for me. I love seeing players get gunned, like trying to stretch it out or gunned it home, something. I love that. That's probably one of my favorite things to watch.
Now, I used to think I had a really good arm. My freshman year, I made the varsity baseball team, and my freshman year, I played right field because we had a bunch of seniors and juniors on the team. I was one of only 2 freshmen on the team. And my first assist was actually an outfield. I threw a guy out at first base from right field.
Oh, nice.
It was like I fired a rocket, and I thought I was the shit. I really did. And this is a true story. So I got a tryout with the Atlanta Braves.
Oh, wow.
And there was probably 30 or 40, high school age kids, my senior year of high school there. You don't realize how good you aren't.
Oh, yeah. Until.
So, I thought I was awesome. And then, they had us doing these drills, and the 3 guys in front of me were throwing from right field to third base. They wanted to see your arm. And I mean, these guys, the ball had no loft to it, just straight, shortstop throws to first, but from right field to third.
Exactly.
And then I was like, man. And then we got to hit, right? And I'm like, all right, hitting's my game, because I can rake the ball to all fields. I'm a switch hitter. And so I'm like, all right, this is where I'm really going to shine. And the first guy up was a catcher, and he hit 14 consecutive home runs before he hit a line drive that went foul or something. I'm just like, man, they are I realized I thought I was good, and I got this invite, and none of my teammates, nobody I knew was at this tryout.
Yeah.
So I really thought I was hot shit, and then I wasn't.
Yeah, you get there and realize once you get around elite level talent. I mean, that's why. Like, I don't think people understand, like, how rare these athletes are. Like, and, like, when people are like, oh, I'm fast, I could do that. It's like, no, you could not do that. You have no idea.
No, and I've been fortunate, like I said, to be around that, mostly with basketball, because I've played against several NBA players. Not like Michael Jordan or anything, but guys who played in the NBA. And I'm telling you, they are gods. Like, that's the only way to describe it, is that they're gods.
Because they don't miss. Yeah, like they don't miss shots.
And it doesn't matter how much defense. I mean, you could be draped all over them, and they will hit from 40 feet deep without even hitting the rim. I mean, they can just call net every time, and it's just nothing but net. And then, heaven forbid, you try to drape them on defense. They take 2 steps, and they're dunking it with 2 hands. Like, it's just it's ridiculous. I mean, I'm talking like power forwards who are 6'9" that handle the ball better than any point guard in high school. Like, just insane.
Yeah, of course.
All right, so that's kind of our base. Brandon does mention here, or I say Brandon, it's Triple Shot Sports. We don't know which one of it is you guys are. So it is Padres also got Mike Clevinger.
Who's honestly been a pretty big disappointment. I was a big Clevinger fan too, which is, man, it's a shame. But I mean, that's a nice kid for the Padres. That team's so exciting. I've talked about it before. Fernando Tatis is the most exciting player in baseball. He's so much fun to watch, and that team I just love. Will Myers is a stud. I mean, that team's just good. They're just a really good ball club, and that's 2 great kids for them.
Now, Triple Shot Sports also says pro athletes are so far superior at their sport, and people do not understand. Yeah, that's what we're just saying. It really is, you have to see it in person kind of thing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, you can see it on TV, but they're playing against other professionals. Like, you have to go down to, like, Rucker Park or something like that and see them up close. Oh,
for sure. I mean, it's really just scary. They move at a different level. They see things before it's actually about to happen. Like, they truly do. It's crazy.
Funny story. I love telling I have all kinds of time to tell my stories now that Akili's not joining.
Exactly. Here you go.
I played in Concord, and the kids there in Concord, Jesse was one of these kids. They used to worship me. Like, they would like show up to watch me play basketball, and Jesse used to ask me if I could give him pointers on how to play. Oh, that's awesome. But like, I used to light people up. I mean, just light everybody up. And I remember one day this guy came down to the park, and we were playing. It was full court, and I think that my team won like 3 games in a row, and I scored probably 8, 9, and 10 of the 11 points. Because we used to play all ones too, not 2-pointers. Everything's with 1. And so we would play to 11, and I would score almost every basket. And this guy said to me, I had my Duke shorts on, and this guy goes, "Oh, is that what you played in college?" And I was like, "Dude, trust me, I wish I was that good. Like, I know I'm that good compared to you guys, but."
So here's the thing, though, Wayne. If you're gonna tell stories, you got to tell ones you haven't told before, because you've told that story.
Well, that's a good story.
It is a good story, but I mean, like, we got to get new and better stories here.
I'll make up some shit. It's like my daughter. Every night, my daughter, when I put her to bed, she wants to know 2 stories about my life, and I'm like, at this point, I'm out of stories. I just gotta make up
I don't really have it now. Just make shit up. Well, I was running and got shot.
With a lighter, did they smoke?
Huh?
What? Okay.
What?
Oh, here we go. Jesse, Wayne was really good. I was 15. Nobody worshipped him. Also, old man, that's the second time you told that. Oh, there you go.
See? Yes, thank you, Jesse. See? There we go, Jesse. God, where are you at, man? I need you to make fun of this amnesia dementia patient.
I do. I have Alzheimer's.
Wayne's drunk again, folks.
All right, so we talked about, like, if Akili didn't make it on, we might talk some fantasy football, right? Everybody's got the drafts going on right now. I mean, you're doing one right this second.
Literally,
but, like, everybody's got stuff going on. I've got mine coming up on Wednesday. So I'm gonna ask you, because you're the football expert, right? I mean, who's the guy that's going to be a steal for people? Like, if people are saying, "Listen, man, I got a shitty draft position," who's a guy I can look for that nobody else is going to be looking at?
Late or early?
Let's call it mid. Let's call it 8 to 12. 8 to 12.
8 to 12. That's like, okay, so the thing about this draft, too, is I think the deeper you get in this draft, the worse your situation is. And that's different from a lot of fantasy drafts, I think. I think last year there was a lot of mid-round talent. This year I don't see that. So I guess a mid-round guy that I'd like, Tyler Boyd, I think is going to have a huge year. I really like him, and Joe Burrow has come out and said he's developing a great connection with Tyler Boyd. I think he's got a big year written all over him. Calvin Ridley is my darling of the entire season. I think he's going to be a top 7 receiver. I think he has 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns, 80 catches. I think he's a baller. I really do. So if you can get him in the 4th or 5th, I think that's money right there. And then, running back's kind of shaky at that point. I like Kareem Hunt a little there. I think he's got the ability to get a lot of touches from Nick Chubb. And if Nick Chubb goes down, then I think he can take over. And then a sneaky play that I mentioned to you is Cam Akers. I think, somebody's going to get touches in that Rams backfield. Somebody's going to get him. I think Cam Akers is going to be the guy.
Jesse chimes in and says, Sully, give me your tight ends to look for after the big 3.
Tyler Higbee is the name on the list, man. If you can get Tyler, and that's another guy in that same range, I love Tyler Higbee this year. His production in the last, I think it was 6 weeks of the season, was the number 2 tight end. And I think they just carry that over. Losing Brandon Cooks, I actually think opens up Tyler Higbee to kind of be that slot guy and to get a lot of that underneath work and a lot of that stuff. I love Tyler Higbee this year a lot. I'm a huge Tyler Higbee fan.
Well, I'm going to say, and he's not like a shock name or anything like that, but just based on the style of play that his team plays, I think Darren Waller is going to put up some really good numbers this year. They're a short pass team, like a West Coast type team. They just added Ruggs, who I think is going to turn a lot of 15-yard grabs into 80-yard grabs. But you've got that middle of the field presence with Waller. I think that Waller's a guy who could get 75, 80 catches this year at the tight end position, and that's they like throwing those short passes in Oakland.
He had the 3rd largest target share of all tight ends last year. So if they can keep that up, I love that pick. Darren Waller was my darling last year. I had him in every league. I took him in at every point I could. I loved him. John Gruden loves tight ends. He loves tight ends, and he likes to use them. XYZ banana or whatever it is. That's a tight end play. The play he always talks about is a tight end play. And so, I think that's a great shout out.
Jesse says, when do you guys feel comfortable taking a quarterback? Would you punt quarterback in the draft and just stream a different guy each week? I wouldn't, because the league I'm in, I think it really depends on the league that you're in, right? But the league I'm in, last season, 8 of the top 10 points guys were quarterbacks, right? So points are important. You got to score points. And so I'd say taking a quarterback, how soon, it depends on the quarterback. I think Mahomes and Jackson are going to be guys that we were talking about earlier, probably going to be 3rd or 4th round picks, at the latest, right? Mm-hmm. But I think that you can get, because of the fact that guys they're going to value running backs first, then wide receivers, some tight ends in there. You're going to start to get that mix of quarterbacks. So I would say that you could probably say, if you have a quarterback in mind that's not one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league that you want, like I want Kyler Murray. All right, I'm getting him from 8th round pick. In reality, if I were to go through the draft, he would probably go 7th. So I'm getting him a little bit later. So I think that's kind of the 7, 8, 9 rounds are where you're going to find, quarterbacks who are going to give you, 23 to 28 points per game, and that's pretty solid.
I agree. It's kind of league dependent. I'm in a league. I took Mahomes at number 2 pick in the 3rd round of one of the drafts I was just in, but we get bonuses for long plays. So a 60-point play gets an extra 4-point bonus plus the 6 points per touchdown, because it's a 6-point per touchdown league for quarterbacks. So it's a different league. It kind of depends. In a 4-point league, I still think those 2 go 3rd round, but yes, the rest of them get pushed down. If you don't end up, if you're not dead set on ending up with one of the top 2 or 3 guys, I'd wait. Like I said, their depth this year at running back is so bad that after round 2, you're literally scraping the barrel to find a competent starter. And yeah, buddy, go Mahomes.
Yeah, Kevin Ollett, my friend Kevin, chimes in and says, yeah, Mahomes. He's a Chiefs fan, by the way. He's been a Chiefs fan since we were teenagers. He used to have like a Derek Thomas starting lineup figure on the dash of his
That's awesome.
his car. So
I mean, if you can't get one of the big guys, then truthfully, I'd wait and I'd stack the team of players because I'd go running back, honestly, probably. It's so thin this year. It's so thin.
Yeah, for sure. And really, yeah, depending on where you're drafting in the first, the second, or the end of the draft, I'm drafting 9th out of 12th. Mm-hmm. But it's nice because I get that kind of like 9 and then 14 and then like exactly. So it's not that far apart, those picks. Yeah. We'll see how it goes. The running back that I like, and I mentioned it to you before we started, is I really like J.K. Dobbins in Baltimore. I thought J.K. Dobbins might have been the best running back in the draft, personally, and the fact that they got him, he is a physical north-south runner, which is what they do. Mark Ingram is old, so I wouldn't be surprised if you take J.K. Dobbins. He's probably a guy that you can get later, maybe after the 10th round, but he's a guy that I think isn't going to get a lot of carries early in the season because Mark Ingram's going to, but Mark Ingram's going to get tired. And I would say that look at like maybe week 6, 7, right around there is when you see J.K. Dobbins start splitting carries with him. And by the end of the season, I wouldn't be surprised if Dobbins has most of the carries.
See, I think you're a little light on it, honestly. I think by week 3, he's splitting. By week 6 or 7, it's J.K. Dobbins' job.
Wow.
Yeah, I really.
Ingram had a good year last year.
I know he did. I understand. I really do. I think he did. But J.K. Dobbins is a talent. I mean, the guy's a talent. He's good. And he's just a better Mark Ingram. Now, we'll see. You know, Mark Ingram's proved a lot of people wrong recently. I think a lot of people counted him out in his last years at New Orleans, and he played really well. And I counted him out in Baltimore, and he's playing very well. But, man, I agree with you. I love J.K. Dobbins. I think he's a stud. I think he's going to do a lot of good things, especially in that offense. I'm not a big fan of that offense in general, or Lamar Jackson. I don't think he's going to repeat his success, but I think J.K. Dobbins has a shot to put up like really solid numbers, like to get in late value.
Jesse says, better fantasy season, Kyler or Dak?
I mean, we're both Kyler boys, I think, so I'm going to say Kyler, but I mean, that's a little, you could flip a coin. You literally could.
My only thing is that, you know, obviously Dak Prescott threw for 4,000 yards last year. His completion percentage was close to 70%. I think it was 68 or something like that. It was really high. Mm-hmm. He doesn't turn the ball over. It's a power run game that they happen to have great receivers. And so they added CeeDee Lamb, which is only going to give him another weapon. You know, you can't double cover everybody. And so you got Amari Cooper, if he can stay healthy, Lamb, Gallup, and then you've got obviously Zeke. I love Kyler Murray, and I know that you'd picked him for dark horse MVP. I would love to see him win the MVP, but if I had to bet money, all right, Wayne, you have to bet your life savings now. Is it going to be Dak or is it going to be Kyler? I'd probably go Dak.
I would too, honestly, for betting. I think I would too if they were like, yo, you've got to bet your life. I would too probably, but man, I mean, I'm going to say Kyler because that's my dude. You know what I mean? I believe in him at this point. Like in a fantasy draft, personally, like if I'm at the point where I'm deciding between Kyler or Dak, I'm taking Kyler because I'd rather go down with Kyler than go down with Dak. Let's put it that way.
Jesse says, "Don't sleep on Cowboys tight end Jarwin, boys."
Blake Jarwin's. I agree. I think he can. I think he's got a shot to play really well. I mean, he's got all the talent in the world. It's just a matter if he can put it all together. Tight end's so deep, man. Noah Fant's another one that you can get late. T.J. Hawkinson you can get late, and that guy's. I'm telling you. If he ever comes on, he's it at tight end. He's what you want in the tight end. So, I mean, there's a ton of them. There's a lot of tight ends that are really good.
Now, you know who I like at tight end, or I liked at tight end in terms of talent, but didn't put it together last year, is Noah Fant.
Yeah,
and
just grabbed him in my league, actually. Hey-o.
Yeah, but I figured with the addition of Hamler and Judy, and then you still got Sutton there, he's going to have a lot of middle of the field like openness, I would think. But I don't know. He's very athletic. He's kind of like the Jimmy Graham type tight end, right? Where he's like a wide receiver that just plays in.
Oh yeah, for sure. No offense. He played on the same team as T.J. Hawkinson. Kind of funny, and he's the more athletic. I think T.J. Hawkinson's the more complete. Now T.J. Hawkinson's still very athletic. I'm not taking anything away from him, but yeah, no offense. Like the Darren Waller type, like a tweener, but still a big tweener. Like he's clearly a tight end, but moves like a wide receiver. And I think, honestly, because I'm a kind of a believer in that Broncos offense this year. I think Drew Lock and just in general take a step up and they can do well. So, yeah, I like that team. I like Noah Fant this year a whole lot, actually.
Now, do you think Austin Hooper puts up better or worse numbers in Cleveland than he did in Atlanta last year.
Oh, worse numbers, definitely. They don't target their tight ends like Atlanta. Atlanta loves their tight ends. They love them. They get a huge target share. Cleveland does not get that same target share. Now, I mean, he'll be a weapon, but I mean, he's not putting up. Well, I think he got 12 touchdowns last year or something like that. There's no way.
Well, that's my argument against taking LaShawn McCoy. And a lot of people said, he was a great addition to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady loves that check down running back. He's nothing but speed. He's great out of the backfield, catching the ball and just turning it into something kind of like James White, right? But I said my problem with that is I don't think Bruce Arians runs a check down offense. Like he runs, spread offense that like just a whatever it's called, air raid offense.
Yeah, air raid.
And I don't think that LaShawn McCoy is going to have a James White type season in Tampa Bay.
I don't think so either, just because I also think Keyshawn Vaughn and Ronald Jones can be that player, and I think they're better at this point than LaShawn McCoy is. I think, we signed LaShawn, and he's got upside, and he's a veteran presence in there. But, we'll see what he can still do at this point. And I don't know. I would never take him in a fantasy league.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I mean, I would take
Ronald Jones and Keyshawn Vaughn before I took LaShawn McCoy, just because he may have a good week 1 or week 2 role. But I mean, after that, I don't see him being used a lot.
Well, let me ask you about, because Cam Newton looks like he's going to win the starting job in New England. All signs point to that.
He's won it at this point.
Yeah, and Josh McDaniels, I have said I think is the best offensive mind in the NFL. I think that he can just use his personnel to maximize whatever they do. It doesn't matter who his personnel is. He will figure out a way to maximize them with his play calling. Cam Newton is a much different quarterback than Tom Brady. So what sort of play call are we going to see? A lot fewer passes to James White and a lot more deep to N'Keal Harry, which is what I'm hoping.
I actually do kind of think we are going to see. Unfortunately, here's what sucks. Cam Newton's addition made your chance of the N'Keal Harry bet actually has a chance to come true now. He has a chance to be that star receiver you think he is. I think he's the receiver Carolina wanted Devin Funchess to be, or Carolina wanted all their receivers that they drafted to be. I think, and especially for him. I also think Julian Edelman's going to be that underneath guy he likes a lot. So I think that Josh McDaniels knows what he has in Cam Newton. And like you said, Josh McDaniels knows how to design an offense to score points and to play at the strength of who he has. And I think that he's going to continue to do that. I don't think Cam Newton's going to have an MVP year or anything like that. I would guess they're going to win more than 6 games this year, though. And I've said they're not for a long time.
I'm sticking with 11.
Yeah, I think 11's a lot, but I think 8 and 9 is more, and I think Buffalo's got to be a little worried at this point too.
Jesse asks, who sees more snaps this season, Mariota or Winston? I think Mariota.
Oh, see, I do too, but only because I don't think Winston sees the field a lot. But I mean, Derek Carr is owning that camp right now. Mariota can't complete a pass apparently from everything that's coming out of that camp. So I don't think we were right about Mariota winning that job. But
well, I've been a big Derek Carr fan, I think, from the get-go. And the fact that he completes 70% of his passes, he threw for 4,000 yards last year. I think his touchdown to interception was 24-6 or something like that. It was really good. So there's really nothing he does bad. I know that you've mentioned that he just doesn't throw a deep ball. But
he has the second lowest yards per completion.
But, I mean, he still throws for a lot of yards and doesn't turn the ball over. And if you've got Josh Jacobs, then, why not just run a ball control offense?
I mean, which is what they're going to do. I mean, I think Josh Jacobs is going to have a huge season this year.
Where would you take him in the draft? Because he's a guy I had, I think, last year maybe. But, I mean, he's a guy who went, I think, in the 6th or 7th round of our draft. But he's got to be a 1st or 2nd this year, right?
Oh, I would take him probably at 8 or 9.
Okay.
Yeah. If certain backs are gone, obviously. There's after that top group goes, those top 3, the running backs, the Saquon, McCaffrey, Elliott. Then there's the, Kamara, Dalvin Cook, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, kind of group, I think. And then the Joe Mixon, Nick Chubb, Miles Sanders, Josh Jacobs group. So whoever you've got, like tier, you know what I mean? So I think he's in that tier.
So Jesse's asking, he says, Teddy Bridgewater got a new contract behind the very secure Breeze. Now, although Breeze was out for the first 4 games, so Bridgewater went 4-0 or 5-0, whatever it was, in his stead. If Breeze gets injured or declines Peyton-esque style, it just falls off a cliff, could we see Winston get some snaps? If he gets hurt, yes. I don't think that New Orleans benches Drew Brees if he struggles. He's not the guy that you bench,
Agreed. He's never, especially in New Orleans where he's, a god. He's never going to get benched. Obviously if he gets hurt, I think Winston is actually a pretty good fit there too. And honestly, I think they kind of got a quarterback of the future because Winston's still pretty young. So I don't hate what they've got going on in New Orleans, but I don't think we'll see a ton of snaps from Winston this year.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I don't think Winston, of all the guys who are backups right now, I guess competing, I don't even really know who's the backup in Tennessee. I know they just give a huge contract to Tannehill. I don't like Tannehill.
I don't even know anymore since Mariota left.
I don't know. Maybe the most likely backup is probably who was that in Denver? They seem all in on Drew Lock, but that seems like a position that could easily fall apart.
I don't think so. Drew Lock's loved over there. I think the Jets could be in a sticky situation if Sam Darnold doesn't play out, and then obviously like backups. I mean, how do you view Miami's situation down there? Fitzpatrick, Tua, and then obviously in San Diego or Los Angeles. My apologies, Tyrod Taylor and Justin Herbert. So.
Jesse then asked, anyone fantasy relevant? And of course, yeah, tons of fantasy.
Pittman is my dude. Michael Pittman Jr. is my ultimate sleeper. If you need a late round guy that has the potential to be a top 20 receiver, it's Michael Pittman Jr. He's the lock number 2 receiver in Indianapolis, and he's a football ready player. He comes, his dad was obviously, everybody knows Michael Pittman, Mr. Biceps. He comes ready. He knows already how to be ready. He plays ready. He prepares ready. He eats ready. He does all these ready things. He had the highest contested catch percentage in the NCAA the last 2 seasons. He runs exceptionally good routes already. I think he's an extremely good football player, and he's kind of who I'm hanging my hat on this year.
Now, my boy Kevin actually has a question for you. He says, being a big Chiefs fan, Sully, I'm big on Edwards-Helaire, but would you give more thought to drafting him over Dobbins earlier in fantasy rounds, knowing his role would be featured with Damian Williams opting out?
The fantasy draft I'm doing as we speak, I took Clyde Edwards-Helaire at 6. So I'm a big Clyde Edwards-Helaire fan.
6 overall?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm a big Clyde Edwards-Helaire fan. I think he's a ready player, and Andy Reid has a track record of having running backs succeed in his offense. So I think he's got a shot at 1,200 yards, 1,100 yards, and 70 catches. To be honest with you, so.
Interesting. Now it's funny, we're winding down. We're running into, we talked about every position, I think. What about defensive players? So I play in a league where we each take a defensive, I think 4 defensive players, and you get points for tackles and interceptions and sacks and things like that.
That's my favorite. I love IDP leagues. They're my favorite because I think, disclaimer, all fantasy leagues should never have kickers and never have defenses.
All right.
They're stupid.
In our league, basically, the guy who you absolutely want if you're taking your first defender is Darius Leonard, because he gets like 170 tackles a year, and each tackle is worth like a point. So like he gets 12 tackles, it's like 12 points.
Yeah, exactly. Tackles are huge. And now again, it kind of depends on your settings. So when I was playing it, we would do a point for a solo tackle and then half a point for an assisted tackle. So it would, kind of, if you got 12 tackles, but 6 for solo and blah, 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 you know what I mean? And things like that. Now we ended up adjusting settings after our first 2 years because we realized that guys who got tackles were just so valued over guys like, who got 36 tackles but 9 sacks or 10 sacks. Well, those guys weren't even draftable in most leagues. You know what I mean? So then we changed it to where our sacks were worth 6 points. So it was like scoring a touchdown essentially or something like that.
Hello, Chandler Jones.
Yeah, exactly. Or any of those guys at that point, like Aaron Donald or those sack guys now are potential to be number one wide receivers and things like that. And it just was a different aspect for our league. But yeah, I mean, tackle guys are huge. Also, like the defensive backs, the one key because what we had to do is you had to draft 2 linebackers, 2 defensive linemen, and 2 defensive backs. So defensive backs obviously don't ever draft a corner. You want to draft safeties, and mostly you want to draft those, especially nowadays, the safeties that play linebacker, who are listed as defensive back, but they're playing linebacker. You want those guys because they're going to get all the tackles. And then same thing for the defensive linemen. You want the defensive lineman linebacker hybrids because they're going to get more tackles.
Jesse, again, CEH is Clyde Edwards-Helaire is closer to James White than you think, Wayne. I didn't say anything about him and James White.
I think that's a slap in the face to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love James White. I think he's a good, solid role player, but I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is we'll see. He has the potential to be a much better football player. I think he is a feature back, whereas James White is a piece of a team.
Yeah, I like James White. But James White is kind of like, I think, that third running back that you take, because he's going to get receptions, but he's not going to get any rushing yards.
Exactly, for sure. Another guy I'm stupid high on that I'm telling you, Josh Allen, boys. I think he's going to have a big year, man. I really do. He was the 6th highest scoring fantasy player last year.
All right. I think James Winston was up there too, but
but that doesn't. Exactly. We're not talking about what you're going to do for your team. I think Josh Allen's going to be, again, he's going to have that same kind of year. I think he's going to be a top 5 player. I think he gets stupid good, and now I think Stephon Diggs is going to help him.
I love watching Josh Allen throw the football because it's so tight and it's so straight. And just throwing 65-yard out patterns like it's nothing, but he completes 58% of his passes. It's just
he's also we talk about stats. I'm pretty sure he's in the bottom 3 for completion percentage of balls over 30 and 40 yards too.
They look good.
They look great. He just, he hasn't quite figured out his deep ball, but I truly do think he's a guy that's going to progress. I think he had a lot of problems coming out, and then he showed he's progressed and gotten much better at those. And I think he's just going to continue to do that. I'm a big fan of his.
Kevin, absolutely, boys. All right, so he likes.
I think he agrees with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Yeah, exactly. The other thing too is I'm a big fan this year of taking tight ends early. I think if you got a chance to take Travis Kelce or George Kittle, I think they are going to give you kind of like what a top 6 or 7 receiver is going to give you point wise this year. I think they're going to be extremely well utilized, especially George Kittle with Deebo Samuel and all the injuries and shit they got going on there. I think Jimmy G is going to really rely on George Kittle a lot.
All right. And I would say with 58 minutes in, we'll give it one more shot here. Who is an absolute stay away from this guy for you? Like, he's going to look enticing. Don't take it.
Man, I don't know. A guy I just don't want to take at all. Dalvin Cook. I just don't want him on my team. Not only with the injury risk, but then the holdout. So I'd say Dalvin Cook and then Julio Jones.
For me, Tom Brady.
Wow.
I just think that he doesn't fit Bruce Arians' offense. I think he is still the GOAT. I think he's one of the smartest quarterbacks out there. But last year was a down year for him, and I think it's going to be worse this year.
See, I don't, but hey, I hear you. You know what I mean? Everybody's got their guy.
I'm glad that people like him, especially around my draft. Everyone loves Brady, even though he went to Tampa Bay. Take him. Leave somebody else.
In most drafts, he's still going in like the spot he should. Like, he isn't getting overdrafted in at least most of the drafts I've done and seen so far. So,
All right. So that is pretty much it. We are at 59 minutes. We wrapped it up. We didn't have the interview. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the fantasy football talk, and hopefully we've helped you win your league. If it is a money league and some of our advice helped you, send some of it our way by buying a 12 is greater than 9 t-shirt.
Yes.
Or a sweatshirt. Any questions you guys have for us, obviously visit the website. You can email us. You can visit Twitter. You can visit Instagram, Facebook. We'll reply. Definitely joining the show. Thank you, Jesse, for joining the show and asking questions. You helped us out a ton.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Kevin, thank you for chiming in. William, really appreciate you sharing with all the different groups, getting our views up there. We're still at 10. Hopefully everybody liked our advice. If you didn't like our advice, tell us that too. We love the negative stuff. I mean, especially Sully, because he hears it all the time. He's used to it.
I hear it literally every day of my life. So I'm
used to all the good stuff. So, But anyway, thanks for listening, guys. Obviously, you want to throw it to Kenny in our first. Actually, wait, I gotta get the picture up. So
get it ready first.
All right, go ahead.
It's where's he at? Is it up? Oh, there he is.
It's over, ladies and gentlemen.